The thorough analysis of the origin of species, Lesson 25. What is the Creator's plan? The title of Chapter 14 is Mutual Affinities of Organic Being, Morphology, Embryology, Rudimentary Organs. Though incipient species become converted into new and distinct species, organic beings can be classed on their resemblances because species keep their own systematic characters. The varying descendants of each species try to occupy as many and as different places as possible in the economy of nature, and they constantly tend to diverge in character. There is a steady tendency in the forms which are increasing in number and diverging in character to supplant and exterminate the preceding, less divergent and less improved forms, and they try to convey something to have inherited in common from one ancient parent to their descendants. Organic beings can be classed in many ways, either artificially by single characters or more naturally by a number of characters. Naturalists try to arrange the species, genera, and families in each class on what is called natural system. What is meant by this system? It is merely a scheme for arranging together those living objects which are most alike, and for separating those which are most unlike, or an artificial method of enunciating as briefly as possible general propositions. But many naturalists think that something more is meant by the natural system. They believe that it reveals the plan of the Creator, but unless it be specified whether order in time or space, or both, or what else is meant by the plan of the Creator, it seems to me that nothing is thus added to our knowledge. Natural system is meant by an evolutionary tree in taxology. Classification is irrelevant to the plan of the Creator. It's because taxonomy is to bind the organic beings' common characters according to the intentional judgment of man. The plan of the Creator is beyond human comprehension. So taxology is a learning that cannot be established absolutely and forever. This is the limitation of human faculty or power. Here, Charles Darwin, standing in front of the limitation, pictures the Creator in his mind. Resemblance, though so intimately connected with the whole life of being, are ranked as merely adaptive or analogical characters. Classification of organic beings into orders is merely the binding of the common characters in judgment of man without regarding to the plan of the Creator. The true nature of affinities to connect organisms is the source of driving force to make the species predominant and to push the weak groups down. Morphology is a fundamental element in natural history. It is extremely curious that the hand of a man formed for grasping, that of a mole for digging, the leg of the horse, the paddle of the porpoise, and the wing of the bat should all be constructed of the same pattern and should include similar bones in the same relative positions. How curious it is that The hind feet of the kangaroo, which are so well fitted for bounding over the open plains, those of the climbing, leaf-eating koala, equally well fitted for grasping the branches of trees, those of the ground-dwelling insect or root-eating bandicoots, and those of some other Australian marsupials, should all be constructed on the same extraordinary type. This is powerfully suggestive of inheritance from a common ancestor. On the ordinary view of the independent creation of each being, we can only say that all animals and plants had been constructed in each great class on a uniform plan for the pleasure of the Creator. This explanation is not scientific, but according to the theory of natural selection, it is explainable. The embryos of mammalia, of birds, lizards, and snakes, probably also of chelonian, are in their earliest status exceedingly like one another, both as a whole and in the mode of development of their parts. In fact, their similarity is so complete in the earliest embryo stage of the head, and we can distinguish the embryos only by their size. It tells us all arouse from the same fundamental form in the earliest stage of their development, and a trace of the law of embryonic resemblance occasionally lasts till a rather late age. The pointers of structure in their earliest stage have no direct relation to their conditions of existence, but the case is different when an animal is active and has to provide for itself. We see this plainly in our children. We cannot tell whether a child will be tall or short, or what its precise features will be. Although the various parts of the embryo ultimately become very unlike and serve for diverse purposes, how can we explain their resemblances in the initial stage? The leading fact in embryology is that variations in many descendants from some one ancient progenitor appear at a corresponding period. Embryology rises greatly in interest when we look at the embryo as a picture, more or less obscured, of the progenitor, either in its adult or larval state, of all the members of the same great class. In mammalia, the male's mammal; in snakes, the pelvis and hind legs; in birds, the bastard wing; and in whales, the teeth are rudimentary organs in high mammals. An organ serving for two purposes may become rudimentary or utterly aborted for one, even the more important purpose, and remain perfectly efficient for the other. Considering homology, rudimentary organs are common and general in the same class. It appears probable that disuse has been the main agent in rendering organs rudimentary. The principle of the economy which saves the materials forming any part as far as possible, if not useful to the possessor, will perhaps come into play in rendering a useless part rudimentary. Therefore, rudimentary organs are within the power of natural selection, and as rudimentary organs are the recorders of a former state of things and have been retained through the power of inheritance, they can be useful in classification of organisms. Today's lecture ends here. Shalom.